Good morning, folks. Dr. Freedom here. Sorry I'm running a little bit behind. I was looking at the wrong clock. I know that much. Every now and then I set the only problem I have with my Jeep is the clock likes to fall slowly behind. And I was looking, I'm like, wait a minute. Oh, sheesh, I was supposed to have been on the air already. Uh, I've been trying to come up with these clickbaity titles. So, and you folks know who have been watching this program, I don't know why, but for a while, that I don't buy into negative nonsense. I don't buy into these, guys who are sole mission in life seems to be touching themselves and declaring shows stink, and then when they eventually do get canceled, they throw themselves up as the high prophets of entertainment. What gets me rolling is there were parts of these past 2 years that were writing a high, high as some of the people. Hang on a second. Flying ant. Them things are running around now. Ugh. It's that time of the year. But I look at there's a flying ant crawling up my leg. You little bugger. Get out. Are you getting fresh with me? No, no, no. I don't do things with the six-legged persuasion. Get out of here. But, yeah, they declare themselves the high prophets of entertainment, and, they jump up and down like they were Nostradamus when they harp on a show and it eventually does get canceled, which is what all these guys are going to do. I guarantee you, when the show does finally get an announcement that it's either going on hiatus or it's canceled, they're all going to be high-fiving each other, making videos declaring themselves as they were right all along. Meanwhile, like somebody tried to say, well, blah, 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 this, there was no show after 2017, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, just because you weren't into it doesn't mean there wasn't an audience who was. And I got some bad news for them. Everything you've seen up till now, 2025, is a fit part of the official show. I'm going to say those evil words. It's canon. And you can go bang your head against the wall. You can scream. You can cry for mommy. You can do whatever. It's still, you can't erase it. You can't erase Jodie Whittaker. You can't erase Peter Capaldi. You can't erase Ncuti Gatwa. You can't do it. Sorry. I think what the BBC is doing right now is there's a mad dash to try to continue the show. Because even though they're claiming that, Disney, probably didn't like it. And it's like there's a lot of things that happened in the last 2 years. The more I sit and think about it, the more I think that Disney had more input than we were told. Because there's just some things that were just not typical RTD writing style. It's just, you changed the sonic screwdriver because it looked too much like a gun. That smells like Disney. That seems to have Disney tattooed all over it. That's practically Mickey Mouse standing in RTD while he's trying to sleep at night, huddled, squatted over his chest going, you can't do that, Rusty. You'll do what we say or you don't get money. Focus on spin-offs. I don't think War Between the Land and the Sea was meant to be anything more than a 5-part miniseries, and if it does, become a series, okay, then I'll get more invested in it. But like I said, the proof of the pudding's in the eating, and we're not going to get that till later this year. Also, the animated series, okay, that's meant for kids. They tried to do that years ago. Look it up. There was going to be a Doctor Who animated series way long time ago. You can even see the images for the of the cartoon images. They're out there. So go take a look. I'm not kidding. I see the bots have come and went. Oh. And like all disappointments, they came quickly and it was over. All right. They came quickly, shot off their load, and then rolled over and went to sleep. Okay. I'm trying to stay out of the politics thing, but here's the thing. As much as I'm going to say this outright, as much as I used to admire and respect Whoopi Goldberg as an actress, the things she's saying now are just so moronic, it makes me want to cry. She's acting like every single day of the week we go out and we lynch black people. We don't. That hasn't been done in over half a century. And that's when you had a bunch of ignorant brain deads running around in sheets. She's trying to say that we, en masse, get together and we chain gay people behind cars and drag them. No, that hasn't happened in a while, thank goodness. And even then, it wasn't masses of people doing it. It was a bunch of ignoramuses. Ignorant, closed-minded little brain deads were doing it. And the problem is, sadly, for every, batch of apples out there, there's always a rotten one somewhere in there. And I'm not kidding. She's lost her mind. And I'm sitting here going, wow, you're really repressed. How many $1 million do you have, Whoopi? And by the way, yeah, we're completely oppressing you, yet you have your own talk show, you have your own platform, you've had a career spanning decades, you're sitting on how many millions of dollars. That's why I died laughing when, what was her name, Lisu or whatever that girl's name is, was on there yelling about oppression. Meanwhile, that week she just bought a 27-room mansion, and she's worth like $30 million. Why don't, hey, Whoopi, why don't you mention your lady Oprah? She's so oppressed. Yeah, she's worth like, what, $3.2 billion now? Ugh. See, don't get me political because I'll start talking facts to you, and then everyone will be like, oh, that evil, white, middle-aged man. That's why I can't stand the hypocrisy out there. I'm like, and then you find out that one host for The View, Sonny, she was the one demanding reparations till 5 minutes ago, and she found out her own Spanish ancestry owned slaves. Folks, here's my final word on the matter. Nobody's hands were clean. If you're sitting there claiming that blah, blah, your soul people were oppressed by this action, that we were one of the first countries, Britain beat us by like 3 decades. We were one of the first countries to ever ban it, slavery. And even then, we didn't have slavery in the northern states, I think past like 1800 something. Or it was like, yeah, meanwhile, you found out that a lot of people who are, claiming they were locked up in their mansions were out having parties. And then the pictures started coming out. While they were telling you to sit at home in isolation, they were hanging out, drinking, and having a great time. Hell, I was forced to wear, oh God, I can't go into that because I'll probably get fired. Let's just say I was in an environment where I was forced to wear a mask, even though the nearest person from me was like, in some cases, well over 20 feet away. Well, the thing is this, I get bombarded by this stuff all the time. It's typical rhetoric. I'm sorry, but if you think it's so bad here in America, like I said, get on a plane and go to another country and tell me how well that works out. Like, look at all them grand revolutionaries who are going to march into Gaza, and they all flew to Egypt, and then they're sitting there screaming in Egypt, how come we can do this in America? Because you're not in America right now, dingus. You're in somebody else's country. Ugh. Yet all them people in Egypt, demanding their rights. Dude, you're visitors there. You're not citizens. You don't have rights there. You have a right to spend your money. But like I said, back to Doctor Who, we do not know what's going on. They are being incredibly tight-lipped because I'm beginning to genuinely believe some of these leaks were, they're in a hurry to find another distributor. And I'm like, dude, call Prime and beg for them to take the show. Because, as I've said a billion times before, when Prime took over Ripper Street went another 3 seasons. Each episode was as long as it needed to be, and it was incredibly well done. It was incredibly well written. But the problem I think also they're having is, and oh God, I can't believe I'm going to say this because I'm probably get RTD blew it. He took his shot and he blew it. While there were excellent episodes out there for the last 2 years, his finales did not pay off on either front. No, Moffat is never going to set foot near that show again, and I cannot blame him one iota. Look at what happened last time Moffat took over. He went from being praised higher than Jesus to being crucified like Jesus. The guy had to leave social media because they were making physical threats against his family members because they didn't like certain plot lines. That's the problem. I wouldn't want to run a show these days because you'll have the fans in the palm of your hand one day. They'll be eating out of your palm of your hand. Next thing you know, they're trying to cut your hand off. Because he was trying to explain why the Ronnie would have done what she did with Omega, and I'm like I was telling, I think, Lady G earlier this weekend, if you have to explain the joke, then it's kind of meaningless at that point. And you're trying to convince fans this is an atypical, Ronnie ploy. Fans who've known this character for like 40 plus years, and it's like, 30, 40, somewhere around there, but close to 40 years. The problem is the show has always been evolving. It's always been changing. There's always groups out there that feel despondent when they don't get in on the action. But at the same time, we always ride it out because we know, like the weather, it's going to change. And speaking of the weather, it's going to be hotter than hell here all week. And sadly, like a lot of communities, thank you for bringing that up, Cone, you have elements of a community that just get to the point they just turn evil. Either it's this way or I'm going to do all kinds of weird stuff. I'm not going to pet my cat this week because RTD blew it. Or Jodie Whittaker, female doctor, we can't have that. I'm going on a hunger strike, which will last till dinner. It's like... And I keep saying the same thing. Guys, it's a show. It's a show we all love and adore. And like that, weird family relative, you don't talk too much. There's times, you get along with them fine. There's other times when you want to take them out and kick their butt. It's... Yeah, and that's why I died laughing when, people are still going, the Doctor Who TV movie was a classic example of Americanizing Doctor Who. And I'm like, the writer was British, the director was British, the writer was British. And so how was it Americanized? Explain this to me. Well, the BBC will never, ever, ever, ever sell Doctor Who. Because it is still one of their big time cash cows. They're never going to let it go. It's not going to happen. They'll lease it like they have with Big Finish, but they're never going to take their claws out of it because it's still a big time moneymaker. I can do all kinds of voices, like I said. So I never got into Curb Your Enthusiasm. Not my kind of humor. Like I said, I don't get why Seinfeld was so funny either. But like I said, that we all have different tastes. Well, the problem is you lease something to Marvel and you don't know what you're going to get, you know. Actually, we watched Brave New World over the weekend, and it was actually not a bad flick. Yeah, I never got into Seinfeld. I don't get why it was funny. It's just not my bag. You know, other people think it's hilarious. It's just not me. Yeah, that's why I die laughing when you have Whoopi Goldberg, you got like Lee Soo and all these other going, I'm so oppressed, yet meanwhile they're sitting on millions of dollars. Yeah, like I said, one of the richest people on the planet is Oprah Winfrey, who grew up in Chicago, or if you believe Men in Black, landed in Chicago. But, oh, well, I just looked at the time. It's over 15 minutes. I got to start heading for the doorway. So, above anything, we're going to have to be patient as well as be kind, be calm, be safe. Enjoy the rest of your day. And we'll catch you all tomorrow morning. Take care, everyone. And we'll hopefully see you all soon. Have a great day. If I can hit the button. Hang on.